So here we are. The Sens are back and ready for yet another season. Slightly different, though, than the team that began last season. Of course, this past offseason was very busy for us with the draft going down the way it did, with us making a ton of picks and, of course, acquiring a lot of those picks by getting rid of some longtime members of this team. But I still feel as though that was the right move. But as a result, now you see 56% locker room chemistry. It's going to take a little bit for this team to, I think, kind of gel the way we're looking for them to gel. Of course, as well, the coaching staff changed a little bit as well. Boyce, now the full-time head coach of this team with a slightly different supporting staff around him. A very nice 69% staff chemistry on that front, so hopefully that benefits us decently well, although we do have to spin the wheel twice here in just a matter of moments to decide what kind of incidents might happen to us this season. We've lost a head coach in the past, last year, which is why Boyce was the interim, and we saw how disruptive that was to the team, despite the fact that we made the conference final. Now, alongside the draft and the trades, it was also free agency, where we made some good moves, but we also ran into a little bit of trouble in terms of hitting the cap floor, let alone our internal cap, and it led to the signings of some players where I wasn't quite sure if we'd be able to get them onto the team full-time. And this is the team that we're going to start off with this season, and it is, of course, drastically different than what we've run in the past. So the top line here, we have Shane Pinto, who was our best playoff performer last year, alongside Nico Hischier, who has dropped from a first-line forward to a second line, which is a little bit scary. We've talked about it so many times, Lafreniere, Glass, Hischier, and how that all went down. And Matthew Tkachuk, who certainly saved his spot on this team with a strong postseason effort, but how much time did that bide him? I'm intrigued to see what that top line can do. The second line is a +5, and this is where we see some kind of crazy changes, because Brady Tkachuk has been demoted to the second line, but for obvious reasons, as you can see there. His center, rookie Xavier Bourgault, has made the team. Bourgault, I'm guessing. It's Bourgault, isn't it? It's not Bourgault. It's Bourgault, I'm guessing. It might be Bourgault. Xavier has made, or will be making, his debut on this team. Of course, we acquired him in a trade with Calgary a couple of seasons ago, and he's going to be given a wonderful opportunity alongside Brady Tkachuk and Taylor Hall, who as you can assume, is a better fit for that second line rather than the top line. So that +5 on that second line is fantastic. Third line, we see 18-year-old Sergei Kahesnikov. He has made this team. He was the 15th overall pick in this year's draft. Excuse me, but he will be on this starting roster alongside Ludwig Naslund, 21 years old, former first-round pick of ours, who I thought might get a chance in the top 6, but Bourgault is going to get that opportunity there. And if he struggles, Naslund can certainly take that spot. And on the right, Justin Stepan has also made the team, a 6th-round pick 4 years ago. You look at how well-rounded of a player he is, though, good God. And I think you'll notice as well, the first 3 lines, all playmaker, sniper, power forward. For the first time, I'm trying all 4 lines as that. I think I said the first 3 lines is what I meant. All 4 lines are going to be playmaker, sniper, power forward, which is incredibly risky to not have any two-ways or grinders to help with the penalty kill. But I want to see what we can do, because we do have so much offensive potency on this team. That 4th line is going to be Drake Batherson, Thomas Rensfeld, another guy selected in this draft, 18 years old, and Richard Pilar is back as well, someone who honestly deserves more than a 4th line spot. But right now, it's just a matter of seeing who wants to take advantage of the opportunity set in front of them, and then we adjust from there. I'll talk about who's not there in a moment, because defensively, we get a look, and it's probably what you would expect. That top pairing is going to be Jeremy Poirier alongside Eric Brandstrom, both of whom are just perfect fits. So Poirier, might be better suited as a two-way, but that low offensive awareness kind of drops him for me. So I think he's going to be a DFD next to Brandstrom. Second pairing, we have Bernard Docker and Shea Theodore. And the third pair, we see Mikhail Gulyayev. Damn Russian names. Gulyayev is going to be there as well. First-round pick last year. And he'll be on that third pairing with Thomas Chabot. That's been kind of the one thing about this series that I've just been extremely frustrated about, is that we've never really had a great coach to go alongside Thomas Chabot on one of the higher lines. That is, it's a problem, but hey, we've also made it to the conference final twice. Goaltending, as you know, it's going to be Wallstedt as our number one. Darcy Kemper is back for another season to be our backup. Of course, last episode may have been highlighted by me losing Jan Bednar, which sucks. Unfortunately, that can happen when you have a player who is listed as being in junior, but then becomes eligible or is not allowed to be sent down to junior again, and then the game's just like, well, we'll cut somebody. So that kind of sucked. Healthy scratches, Justin Braun, Alex Ovechkin, and Tyler Johnson. Now here, allow me to explain. You have Braun as our defensive sub, pretty straightforward. Ovi is our more of a skill sub for the top two lines, and then Tyler Johnson, if we were to have more defensive lines, would be the guy to step in on the bottom six. If some of these younger players can't cut the mustard, Alex Ovechkin is there to step in. I know it's probably wasting him, especially when you look at that damn shooting category, to not immediately play him, but this season might not necessarily be about winning. Like I said, he's there if we need him. You know, injuries in this series are a little bit at a more frequent pace than what we've seen in other series that I've done. So we'll see what happens. But I need to know how good these young players can do right now. So like I said, signing Ovi was certainly a cap hit kind of thing. And then down in the AHL of Kenny Malkin, I couldn't even have him as a healthy scratch. Same thing for him. But hopefully Gino can help boost up this pretty young core. Radek Katanovich is there at a medium top six. Stu Flaherty at a medium elite. Johnny Gruden's still there as well. Didn't quite make this team. Of course, Rudolph Balcers was great last year. But Bremberg at a low elite. Excited to see what he can do. There are some pretty damn good players in terms of potential that are in the AHL right now. Vico and DeKaiser are okay. And then defensively, Koltonen's all right, but obviously we just picked up Ruslan Datsuk, who just missed the cut over Gulyayev. I'm going to go with Gulyayev, I think. Gulyayev. Ruslan. Was he Ruslan as well, or was that Ruslan Datsuk? Point being, there are some names I am just going to constantly struggle with, which is fine. But this team, and of course Hugo Alnefelt was signed this past offseason, this team set up incredibly well. As controversial as it may be to have Alex Ovechkin as a healthy scratch, I love where this team is right now. I love where we're starting off. We are just barely above the cap floor, which is incredibly scary. And then you get a look here. I mean, obviously, like Sloan and Flaherty could be used in huge trades if we needed it. And then you talk about all the medium top sixes and low elites. You look at Ovi's value at that point. That's a second round, maybe a low-end first-round pick. Same for Malkin. Not that we can get rid of them. They're going to be here. But this organization, top to bottom, basically, is established and set up very, very well. And then you talk about the extra draft picks that we have for this year, starting in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. I don't know how we're going to do on the ice with such a young team, but everything else about this organization is fantastic. Which brings me to our overalls, because there's a chance the overalls aren't exactly going to be this high. Not to mention, not having Ovi in our starting lineup could protect us if we happen to lose an NHL player. But yeah, 93, 92, 86. For how long will those be the ratings? I do not know, because as I've alluded towards, we have to spin the wheel, and we have to do it twice. Last year, we counted losing Lafreniere as a wheel spin by popular decision from you guys. Now the question is, what is going to happen in this wheel spin? Again, it'll be spun twice. October through April are the eligible months to have something go down. When is our first incident going to take place? It is going to be in November. Ugh. All right, so one incident will take place in November, and another incident will take place in January. Hot damn. All right, that doesn't give us too much of a break. So November and January, we don't know what is going to happen yet, but November and January, at least November 1st and January 1st, shit's going to go down for the Sens. As much as that absolutely sucks, we just have to hope it's a negative effect. Again, we will lose an NHL player, an AHL player, a scout, or a coach. And of course, that wheel will be spun twice at 2 different points in time in this episode, as it is, because of how the wheel played out. So, Whew, that is incredibly rough. We start off our season with a back-to-back on the road. We go from Madison Square Garden to Tampa the very next day. That absolutely sucks. Just want to make sure that our scouting is set up, and indeed it is, basically perfectly, as we had it, which is very nice. So with that, we'll sim our first game here, season opener, against the New York Rangers, and that is a 3-2 loss. Nico Hischier scoring one of the 2 goals there, as Xavier Bourgault has dropped 2 overall points already. So figure that one out. That's frustrating. Let's see what Kemper can do. Oof. All right. Well, we lose our first 2 games of the season. Long way to go. But yeah, the morale for some of these players, it really hit hard. That's bizarre. That is very bizarre that so many guys fell so sharply to begin the season. I'm going to try to stay from this menu as much as I can. If it doesn't menu lag me to death, which it very well might. But let's see what we have here. I want to sum up to this point as Peyton Neal goes down to injury in the AHL, which kind of sucks. Let's give Wallstead a bit of a run here. How long until our next back-to-back? So it'll be 4 straight games for Wallstead. Depending on how he does here, we'll see if Kemper can steal the job away, as we have another injury there in the AHL for another one of our rookies, but then Peyton Neal immediately comes back, which is nice. 2 wins in a row. Ruslan Datsuk, man, Belleville having a tough time with these younger players staying healthy. A 2-2 run for Wallstead in that time. Taylor Hall now with 8 points in 6 games. The menu lag right now is awful. Oh my God. You just hit down once and it's like, oh, did you mean to go twice? It's like, no, I didn't actually. Thank you. But yeah, Wallstead. Ooh. Darcy, if you get a win here, you get a little bit of a run as our starting goaltender, because that's rough. Very, very rough for Wallstead to start this season. De Kaiser's back. I'm not going to worry about getting him back in. Wallstead does get the win, so he will be our starter until he loses 2 in a row, or until we have a back-to-back. So huge opportunity right now then for Kemper to carry us all the way through to November 1st, when shit's going to go down. As scary as that is. Eric Brandstrom will miss a couple games, so Justin Braun, we beat Vegas 6-0. Justin Braun will be in. Back-to-back wins now. 3 straight wins in a row for Kemper. So you know what? We're going to give him the next 3 games no matter what. Brandstrom will be back after this game as Patrick Hornqvist goes down to injury. Ooh, Darcy Kemper. I saw a concussion and I'm like, oh God. Then I saw how long he was out for. It's not that long. Big Save Dave, come on down. You are going to be the next healthy scratch, at least until somebody comes back from injury. But goddamn, that is unfortunate. Kemper was on a really good run there. We'll get Wallstead back in. Again, Brandstrom might force a move here. Cam Dineen picks up an injury. Good God. And we'll go to edit lines here. I imagine Batherson, is at 100%. That's not surprising. And Brandstrom is now good to go. So we won't have to move Riddick until Kemper's back. So let's get Eric Brandstrom back in here. We have 2 games left this month. We lose for the 2nd time in a row. And on Philadelphia, Wednesday the 30th, Kemper's back, which is very, very good news. And it will be, oh God, hopefully not an injury. We're going to try to send down Riddick. He clears waivers, which is great. Riddick clearing waivers is the best damn news we could have possibly had before we lose somebody due to an incident with Eugene. That is just tremendous news. We do lose to Philadelphia. 5-6-1 through the opening month. It is now November 1st. You know what that means. We are losing somebody via wheel spin. Will it be a player? Will it be a staffer? Who is it going to be? Either an NHL player, an AHL player, a scout, or a coach. Who are we losing? It is going to be a coach. No, not again. Oh, God. So it will either be a head coach, our associate, our assistant, our goalie, or the same thing down. in the AHL. Who are we missing now due to a conflict with Eugene Melnyk? Oh, God, I thought it was going to be our head coach. Our goalie coach is being sacked, which sucks because we have a really, really good goalie coach. Now, the incident here in question, I mean, it's just Eugene showing the vindictiveness. The fun fact is, all right, the fun fact is, you look at our schedule here against Buffalo, against Philly, and how things go down. That was a road game against Philadelphia. Well, on said road trip, cheap food was provided for the staffers, and said goalie coach had an allergic reaction, which Eugene Melnyk is viewing as a sign of weakness, and rather than, being compassionate towards said person, they're being fired. You guys came up with some ruthless stuff. Some ruthless stuff. So I hate to see it, because Chloe Paris is actually an amazing goalie coach with that A+ teaching and not being awful at a C-. We are losing our goalie coach for the rest of this season, and because we can get away with moving on without having an NHL goalie coach, the deal is done. So Chloe Paris is the sacrifice here. Eugene fires our goalie coach, which, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, is all I'm going to say. Now, actually, I jumped back in here because we were going to give Wallstead more time, but he is continuing to struggle. So now that Darcy is at 100%, I want to get Kemper back in as our starter. We're going to give this team a little bit more time as they are currently established. Oh my God, Wallstead, what are you doing? Maybe it's a great thing we brought back Kemper. Whew, Darcy, we'll get a run as the starter. We'll see what happens here. So, in terms of how that could have gone down, I suppose losing a staff member that we're not required to instantly replace is about as good as we possibly could have hoped for. Thankfully, as good as Chloe Paris was, she's not like a unicorn of a goalie coach. She's not like an A grade with A+ teaching, which is insane and has happened. As Xavier Bourgault goes down to injury. So I imagine, that Tyler Johnson will be replacing him since he could play center. We do beat Montreal, but it wasn't a great run there for Kemps. So we'll see yet again kind of what this team looks like. Did it put Ovi there? It did put Tyler Johnson there, and it makes a lot of sense because I don't really want to bump anybody up or down. I don't want to scratch one of these guys to make room. So Tyler Johnson will be in. Kemper now down to a 939 for 9 games, which is still fantastic. So it's a big chance here for Wallstead. If he wants another game or two, he's got to win this one. If not, we go right back to Kemper. We do win 3-1. So as you can see, we have 2 games coming up, Chicago and San Jose. So Wallstead will get the next 2 games as Hugo Alnefelt in the AHL. The goalie breaks his toe. That absolutely sucks. So Winnipeg, it's a 2-0 shutout loss. Can't really blame Wallstead for that. And against the Chicago Blackhawks, it is a 3-2 win. So pressure now on Kemper. Wallstead did pretty well with that run of form there. So a big chance now for Kemper. Man, Wallstead is still, those numbers are brutal. There's still a great chance here, though, for Kemper to steal the spot back. But he needs a win against San Jose. Second half of a back-to-back. We lose 6-5 in a shootout. So Wallstead, I am incredibly concerned about your production numbers, your save percentage and such. But you'll be the guy for an undetermined amount of time here, as we don't have a back-to-back until, I guess against Buffalo. It's actually rather close. So we'll have 2 games here for Wallstead against Toronto and the Islanders, and we'll see what happens in the aftermath. As Thomas Rensfeld, MCL sprain on the 4th line. That might mean Ovi's in on the 4th line. As Riley Stillman is on waivers. We could. Sure, we'll claim Riley Stillman. Why not, right? At that point, why not? And Radek Katanovich injures his foot down in the AHL. So Wallstead wins both of those games. Huge opportunity for Darcy Kemper to potentially steal the spot, because right now Wallstead's getting it together, as it put Bourgault back in on the team, but he is not at 100%. So what we're going to do, oh boy, How do I want to handle this? Because I want to make sure it doesn't mess up the power play lines afterwards. Alex Ovechkin, congratulations. We're going to swap you with Johnson. Can Ovi play center? 65 faceoffs. Ovi's playing center. Screw it. And a huge chance now for Kemper's. Wallsted's save percentage is starting to get back to where you would want it to be. Can Kemper get a win here against the Sabres, who have one win in their last 10 games? Yes, he can. He shuts them out 3-0. Good stuff. So I still think, though, after a shutout win, that's the one thing that can kind of save his spot there. So who's injured right now? It was Rensfeld. That's right. So I guess he was the center there. So we're going to have Bourgault replace... I think it's Bourgault. There's like 17 different ways I've heard people pronounce his name. And then Ovi will be taken out for Tyler Johnson on the fourth line. And again, Wallstead will be given the chance. Ovi had an assist in that game. It's tough to say he shouldn't play, but man, what a healthy scratch, right? Goddamn. What a player to have just jump into your lineup at a moment's notice. Like, I get he might not hit the goal-scoring record because of me, but, so be it. Call me Mike Babcock. How's Mike Modano doing? Oh, God. Dude, there was a joke Steve Dangle told on the podcast recently. How much does a Mike Modano bobblehead cost? $14.99? God damn it. For those who don't get the joke, Mike Babcock would not play Mike Modano when he was on 1,499 points, and he finished his career with that instead of hitting 1,500 because Mike Babcock's a dick. That's basically the story here. Kirkman. Good old Kirkman. With a mild concussion. That was another shutout, by the way. Good stuff here. I think I did put Wallstead back in instead of Kemper. Whoops. Regardless, we hit December 1st with a 14-9-2 record. Now, the team is not at 100%, but 25 games in, it is at least worth taking a look at how everyone's doing before we have another incident in a month. So Shane Pinto, 20 points in 25 games. Not too bad. Not as good as I was hoping, but still pretty good. He's hanging in there. If his offensive awareness was higher, imagine what he'd be doing. Nico Hischier, 20 points in 25 games, so I guess I can't really complain. I don't know if Nico's number one center worthy. And then, oh God, Matthew Tkachuk, what is the matter with you? God damn it, he is broken. He does that in the playoffs, but then you get to the regular season, and what the hell, man? He's only taken 32 shots in 25 games. Fuck. Oh, man. I don't know. When's his contract up? Oof, God. Brady Tkachuk, 20 points in 25. 13-19 for Xavier, which is great. And then Taylor Hall's our leading scorer. Kaheznikov, 6 points in 25 games. So if I bring up ye old calculator app, because I don't want to do the math in my head, that is a 19-point pace. Not quite where we want our third liner to be. Ludwig Naslund has been a little bit better on 14 points. And then Stepan has one more than that. So that third line's leaving a bit to be desired. Fourth line, Batherson on 10 points. 8 for Tyler Johnson in 9 games. Jesus. Well, Tyler Johnson might deserve a spot full-time. And then Pilar has just 6 points in 25 games. So I'm a little bit concerned about our secondary scoring for obvious reasons. Jeremy Poirier has only 1 point in 25 games next to Eric Brandstrom, who has 12. You have 7 points for Bernard Docker next to Shea Theodore. That's been a really good pairing. Gulyayev and Chabot have left a bit to be desired. I don't know if it's enough to pull the trigger on a switch yet, though. I mean, shit, if we were going to move anybody, it would have been Wallstead 2 weeks into the season. And then Ovi with the 1 point in one game. Rensfeld had 4 points in 21 games on the fourth line, and Braun 1 goal in 2 games as a sub and defenseman. So there are some players I think to keep an eye on, for sure. I mean, but we have won 8 of our last 10, and I'm not going to fall into the trap, at least this time, of saying, well, hey, there are obvious issues when we've been winning. So let's move ahead. We have 4 games to sim here before our next back-to-back, and we'll see how it goes. We do lose to Toronto on the 1st. We lose to Boston as well. Another game, man, we're just playing everybody in the division. My God, Alnefelt breaks a toe, then breaks an ankle. No wonder why he was a free agent. He can't stay healthy. Tampa did the right thing. This dude's made out of glass. Won 3 or lost 3 out of 4 to start the month. And, of course, against division rivals as well. That really doesn't help our current situation. So a win here will see Darcy Kuemper get an extended run as our starter, unless he sucks. I know we have that back-to-back coming up, but D-Kemps will slot in here once again. And we'll see what he can do. Please tell me that you can beat the Detroit Red Wings. He did, and, I say that, but Detroit's ahead of us in the standings. They're not exactly the lowly Red Wings anymore. No dead wings here. So, let's see. 3 more games here for Kuemper. Great opportunity to solidify his spot as the starter. We get shut out by San Jose, I think, for the second time this season. Play the Islanders. Taylor Hall suffers a minor concussion. He'll be out for a week and a half or so, but that does mean that Alex Ovechkin steps in for Taylor Hall, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So not a bad run there for Kuemper. Imagine Xavier now getting to play next to Brady Tkachuk and Alex Ovechkin. So we'll see here. Kemper's save percentage went up. It's got to be a convincing win for Wallstead here, or Kuemper is absolutely back between the pipes. And a 2-1 win's not bad. You know what? We have 2 more games, and then it's Philadelphia. So I think we'll give Wallstead these 2 games, Los Angeles and Dallas, and then we'll have Kuemper step back in against Philadelphia. So Wallstead, it was good enough, and my laziness and the inconvenience of switching goalies in this mode will give you an extended run, of which you did not make the most of it, allowing 4 goals in each of the 2 games. I don't know what it is, but I have had some horrible freaking luck with the likes of Jesper Wallstead and a certain top-notch Russian high elite goalie as well. So these young goalies of the future have not been kind to me. Taylor Hall is healthy. It's a 1-0 shootout loss, so I don't really fault Kuemper for that. He did his job. How has Ovi done in this time frame? Jesus Christ. And Tyler Johnson has quieted down a little bit. We're going to have to make a move. I am waiting, though, until December 1st, and I'll tell you why. Or January 1st, I should say. That is because if I make Ovi a part of the regular starting lineup right now, and we lose an NHL player, he's at risk, as opposed to him being the replacement for one of the younger players that we could lose. So that is the reason. We do beat Washington. We have 1 more game before we find out our second incident, and our second and final incident of this season with Eugene. So January 1st, the Winter Classic. I wish against Ottawa, or Ottawa and St. Louis here. So we are currently in a wild card spot, very much in the mix. It's a pretty crazy setup right now in the Eastern Conference, especially in the Metro Division. The question now, what the hell happens? January has arrived. What is our second Eugene-related incident going to be? Oh, thank God, we're only losing a scout. Is this the scout wheel? It is. All right, what, do I have AHL on here? I don't. I had every other region other than AHL, and I've started to employ AHL scouts. So we'll make that change. And let's spin the wheel. What scout are we losing for the rest of the season? U.S. Central. Our U.S. Central scout shall be kicked out as it stands. And it's another one. It's another one. God, did I do the... I have 2 more controversies written down before I have to gather more. And I think I can combine them. So the first one is the person involved gets a little too tipsy at a team event at Eastside Mario's and backs into Melnick's Escalade. I feel like I said that one before. And the other one is that this scout got caught making a short joke. Whether or not it was about Eugene is unknown, but Melnick presumes that it was, and the person's fired. So regardless of whether or not they had a bit too much to drink or told a short joke, maybe both. I forgot to put someone over to US West. I feel like the fair thing to do is to fire Vlasic. I feel like that's a make good. We'll fire Jerome Vlasic, and then I'm gonna move. Nope, not you. And then I'm gonna move that person over to US West. That's the one thing I didn't catch that I had a feeling was going on. So we'll move Milson over to US West here for the rest of the season. So we certainly lost out on some scouting time there. But with that, we are good to go in terms of our make dues with Melnyk. He's had his opinions, which means now I know I can look at this team and say, okay, what's working, what isn't, and what needs to change. Now, the first thing, obviously, is goaltending, but we're not going to get rid of Jesper Wallstedt. As much as I want to, because he has been incredibly disappointing, it really, I guess it doesn't make that much sense, because what else are we going to do? You know, look down in the AHL. Big Save Dave has not been that. Even in the AHL, he has sucked. And we do have the likes of Dominic Dopita, Hugo Alnefelt, who will likely be ready next year. Alnefelt's ready this year. But I think we can make that decision on Wallstedt and whether or not we trust him at the end of this season. You know, because if we trade Wallstedt and then Kemper goes down, we're relying on a 79 overall goalie, which, hey, might make some sense. But I don't think I want to get rid of Wallstedt here. We could, though. We know he's going to have trade value. Forward-wise, Shane Pinto has been okay. 27 points in 39 games. I think what we've discovered is Shane Pinto is not first-line eligible, or should not be a first-line guy for us. The problem is he does not fit in with the rest of the team. So do you take Shane Pinto on the second line knowing that there's significantly less chemistry, or do we just leave him on the top line and hope that he turns it on in the playoffs? Option C is to trade him. I don't know about that one, though, with what he did in the postseason. Nico. Nico with 30. I mean, 31 and 39 is not that bad. I think it's clear. Number one, his shooting percentage is way down, too. I think it's clear that he's probably not best to be a first-line center, but it's the same thing as Pinto. We can send him down to the second line, but then, then who's our first-line guy going to be, right? I mean, it's going to be expensive to find us a top-line center, especially if there isn't one available. I'll look in a minute, but tough to say there. I think the big issue is Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know what it is about Matthew Tkachuk. He was okay last year, not amazing, but okay. Playoffs, he did very freaking well with 13 points in 16 games. But now this year, it's like, what the hell, man? You're almost on a 42-point pace, 45 at best, depending on how good of a game you have here coming up in the next two games, really leading up to the halfway point of the season. So it's kind of a tough call. I'm not happy with that top line at all. I think Nico may get the benefit of the doubt because his wingers aren't exactly producing. I mean, Pinto's putting up goals, but total points aren't there. So that top line, you could argue drop Hischier or Pinto to the second line and either call somebody up or trade them. Or with Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, I don't know. How many more chances does he get? Brady Tkachuk, 34 points in 39 games. Spectacular stuff there. Xavier, 23 points in 33 games is pretty good. Should he be on the second line right now? I don't know about that one, Chief. But the second line's almost acting like a top line. Maybe that's the way to view it. I mean, he can play the third line, but he's obviously significantly better. And I don't know if we want to send him down at 22. That might stunt his growth. So if we're making the argument of if he's not good enough now, the trade option's there. But, he's doing his job as the playmaker of the line. And then you look at Taylor Hall, who has been pretty damn good as well. 31 points in 34 games. Very, very happy with that. So out of that top six, Pinto and Borgo have been okay. Hischier's been pretty good. Matthew Tkachuk is my big problem name right now. Like I said, the issue with Xavier is, where the hell are we going to put him? Sending him down to the minors seems to defeat the purpose. We might as well just cash out on his trade value at that point instead of stunting his growth. Third line, Kahesnikov, 7 points. You are basically on a 15-point pace right now. Clearly not good enough for the third line. Somebody who we can send down to the AHL or play on the fourth line. But I think it's clear Kahesnikov gets sent down one way or another from that third line. It's either fourth line or the AHL for him. Naslund, 20 points, very solid for a fourth liner. He's basically, or for a third liner. He's basically on a 40-point pace. So I'm very happy with Ludwig Naslund. You could argue he is somebody that if we were to send Borgo down or trade him, we give Naslund a shot here if there's no number one center to play with Nico. So we definitely have options with Naslund potentially being worthy of more time. You also have Stepan on 20 points as well who also fits in a bit on that second line. So Stepan and Naslin safe, Kahesnikov getting demoted either to the fourth line or off the team entirely. And then Batherson, phenomenal, as always. God, he's so good. Tyler Johnson has played a lot. 10 points in 23 games. You want to talk about who replaces Kahesnikov, it's probably TJ. And then Pilar on 8 points is a bit disappointing, but he is closing in on a 20-point pace, so we'll see. I don't know. You could make the argument with Pilar as well, that if we don't try him on a higher line, maybe it's worth trading him just because we want to make the most of his value. It's kind of a tough call. Is he going to be able to work his way into one of those middle six spots? I don't know. Because Tyler Johnson, in a very similar situation, is outplaying him. There's no doubt about that. Defensively, Poirier. Didn't bring him in to be a point getter. Fine with that. Brandstrom's, it's not bad. He's not putting up as many points as I'd hope. Bernard Docker's been solid. Theodore's been solid. Golyev has been okay. Thomas Chabot. Is it time to cut ties with Thomas Chabot? The only other thing that makes sense right now, if we look at Jeremy Poirier, you could play him on the second pairing. You could split up Bernard Docker and Theodore, who have been great, to send Poirier to the second pairing, and then you could rework the defensive pairings, but maybe, just maybe, Thomas Chabot's not meant for this team. There's a lot of different things you could do defensively to work around the lines, but I don't hate the way the top four is playing. Chabot being a -6 is a little bit concerning to me. And then again, goaltending-wise, we already talked about. So there are some key players worth talking about here as we've hit just about the midway point of the season. The big thing, of course, right now, I guess, the big question would be, who the hell's out there in terms of trading options? And I will take a look at Ovi's stats as well to this point, where he has 6 points in 6 games, including 4 goals. Hornqvist, not doing well. Evgeny Malkin might be worthy of a call-up here as well. Just going to throw it out there. Gino might be too good for the AHL. Jesus Christ. So you got to look at some trade values here. Matthew Tkachuk's trade value is still through the roof right now. Gino, it might be worth cashing out on or calling him up. You get a look at the likes of Bourgault's value, Pilar's value. Clearly, I think Patrick Hornqvist will trade him. Rensfeld as well, 4 points in 21 games. He's okay on the fourth line. You could argue he'd benefit more from that AHL time. So, yeah, wow, Flaherty and Sloan both improved significantly too already. So you can kind of see the options that we have, and you get a look at Thomas Chabot's value here. Datsuk might be ready. It's only January. Do we trade Thomas Chabot? Give Datsuk a chance on this team? Do we hold on to Thomas Chabot? Do we immediately look for a replacement? And it's the same thing. Wallsted's value through the roof right now, relatively for goaltenders. But is that the move to make? So it's kind of crazy. Yet again, we are in a spot where so many moves could be made, but the question is, what is the right move at the right time? Just get a look here at someone like Christian Dvorak. You're not worth $4 million. Let's see, is there any kind of major difference makers available here? Teuvo Teravainen and Slavin. Teravainen has a 5-year deal. Slavin's already signed an extension, so that would be a huge risk. Then we have Chicago with Evan Barrett. Columbus. Honestly, Hunter Brustowicz. I'm probably butchering that, but he's not bad. 80 overall at 20 years old, but not exactly what we're looking for. But if we wanted to get a prospect back, he or Tanabe would be decent little options. Drew Doughty's available. Dylan Larkin's available. Don't think we're going to do that. Montreal, Jason Zucker with an unbelievable amount of value. How's he doing so far? 31 points in 37 games, but he does not fit this team at all. Got Roman Josi, Jeremy Davies, New Jersey. I don't know if I've seen anybody available where I'm like, yep, that's the answer. That's the answer. Sidney Crosby's available, though, on an expiring deal. So, if we elect to move some of these young guys or send them down to the AHL, we could have Crosby and Ovechkin on the same line. We could do it. Crosby, Ovechkin, Malkin. Who says no? Tomas Hertl, Kevin Labanc. Labanc's on an expiring deal. Hertl is not. 30 points in 39 games. Labanc doesn't fit the team. I'd go for Logan Couture, but I don't want him. Stick to just fucking random shit on Twitter, I guess. Toronto, nobody. Vancouver, not Miro Heiskanen. Vegas, ooh, hold on. Mark Stone? 3 years left for Stone. And then William Karlsson has time left, too. Stone doesn't fit. Karlsson does, but do we want to bank on Wild Bill being our number one center? I don't know. And then Verana, again, for some reason, is making $12.5 million. So you see the options that are available to us. You see the situation that we have right now with certain players. I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments below what you think in regards to certain players who should potentially be traded, reworked around the lineup, sent down to the minors. We're in a pretty good spot right now, but obviously, especially in terms of trading younger guys, we need to make the right moves at the right time. So let me know what you think. And of course, as always, leave suggestions down in the comments as well for other Eugene-esque scenarios. If you want to have it be, like scout-specific, coach-specific, player-specific, feel free. Obviously, too much detail, though, might limit which ones I can use. I will see you all in the next one. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy, stay safe, and go Sens.